Good afternoon, everyone. Now it's the appointed time of the quorum. First, we'll start with the agenda item number 1, the election of chairperson and deputy chairperson. Now, we will have the election for chairman for the panel on welfare services. The clerk to the panel issued a notice informing the members that by the end of the nomination period, only one valid nomination has been received. The nominee is Reverend Peter Kun. He is nominated by Mr. Kenneth Leung and seconded by Dr. Teck Chi Yuen. Since he is not the chair or deputy chairperson of any other panels and related government advisory bodies, in accordance to the House Rules and House of Procedures, I declare Reverend Peter Kun is elected as the chairperson of the panel on welfare services. Now I'll hand over to Reverend Peter Kun, please. Okay, thank you, everyone. Now we are going to have the election for the vice chairman of the 2025 panel on welfare service. The clerk to the panel issued a notice informing the members that by the end of the nomination period, only one valid nomination is received. The nominee is Ms. Doreen Kong, and she's nominated by me and seconded by Mr. Andrew Lam. And since she is not the chair or deputy chairperson of any other panels or related government advisory bodies, under the House Rules and House of Procedures, I declare Ms. Doreen Kong is elected as the deputy chairman of the panel on welfare services. Next, let's move on to item number 2, application for late membership. We have received Dr. Tan Yueheng submission on the 3rd of January. The reason he submitted is already uploaded in a document on CP bracket 128/2025 bracket 01 according to the House Rules 23 bracket B. Whether we accept him as the member will be decided by the whole committee. Now I ask everybody in the committee whether we accept his application. Everybody accept. So our panel will accept Dr. Tan Yueheng as our member of the panel. Welcome, Dr. Tan. Item number 3 will be our meeting dates in 2025. We are meeting on the second Monday morning at 10:45. We will have our regular meeting. It's the same as last year. If we all agree, then you can refer to the timetable here. There's one particular date. We need to change it to 10th of March because it clashes with another meeting. Which clashes with another meeting. So we need to change it to the 17th of March at 10:45 in the morning. Regarding next meeting's agenda item, you can refer to this document CB bracket 128/2025 02 and bracket 02 and bracket 03 documents. In the second meeting, it will be held on the 10th of February, Monday, 10:45 in the morning. The two items that we are going to talk about is the latest development of the dedicated fund and also the funding and recommendations of the review of manpower for healthcare services in residential care homes. Are there any opinions? If not, then let's move on to the work plan of 2025. Our panel, I'll meet with our Deputy Chairperson and the Secretary for Labor and Welfare and Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs to talk about our work plan. We'll include the discussion items on the list. And if anybody would like to give your opinion on what to discuss this year, please press the button. There are 5 people. Everybody will have 2 minutes. First will be Mr. Stanley Lee. Thank you, Chairperson. I'm very concerned about the cross-boundary elderly service, which involves the Guangdong Residential Care Service Scheme. The elderly in Hong Kong will be attracted to the scheme. I would like to see if we can follow up on this year to attract more to join the scheme. Secondly, I'm very concerned about carers in society. I'm the chairperson of the subcommittee. After that, we have 182 and 183 information platforms. I'd like to ask if it's time to review on these measures and platforms, because the numbers and statistics are not reported to the panel. So I'd like to ask if we can have a further investigation on carers. Another issue is on poverty. Under the current economy situation, on poverty alleviation, I'd like to see if there's any measures or policies. Are there any new initiatives to support the grassroots families? Thank you. Next, Mr. Lam Sen Kung. Thank you, Chairperson. This year, I'd like to talk about the draft of the parents' power on managing family assets management. I think that how the government put in words has some problem. I think it's time for the administration to have a briefing to us to tell us what is this document about. Whether we all agree to use the current legal system to involve in this. We need to know when will the administration bring this ordinance up to the panel. Next, Mr. Bill Tang. The next one that I'd like to mention is the special scheme on the privately owned sites for welfare use and the performance. I'd like to see the review on the effectiveness of these cases. Receiving lump sum grant subvention, there are 3,000 cases. whether the money has reached the people in need. We are using a multi-dimension indicator to assess the current measures on society. We have given enough time for the government. The next one is on singleton elderly. How we are going to monitor the measures and welfare for the single elderly. Next is Ms. Doreen Kong. The first item is on elderly poverty of elderly. There is an increase in elderly being poor in society. We would like to see if the administration has any measures to alleviate the situation. The second one is for dementia. There are different studies held in mainland. There are reports on an action plan on the national commissions on this area. On elderly service, I'd like to see if we can enhance the resource allocation to satisfy the needs of the Hong Kong citizens. Another one is how to apply technology in our social welfare aspects. The use of technology. Thank you. Next one, Mr. Michael Tian. Thank you, Chairperson. In the previous weekend, I've put on New Year dressed up to. A lot of citizens come to me and ask about the $2 scheme, whether we should put a limit to it, say for instance $3,000 per month. They are curious, is it $3,000 for a year or $3,000 in a month? There are a lot of controversies or discussions in society, and they are confused. There are different welfare initiatives. There are no clear directions for it, and our public is confused. The second one, it's about the care service at school after school time. To follow up on residential care homes sexual abuse cases, there are no regulations or standards for them to follow. We need to think about how to handle this. The next item is using artificial intelligence to be applied in childcare homes. Are we using CCTV to monitor? But there are nobody watches it. So we need a system to make sure that we can monitor it in a systematic way. Now we are talking about the shortage of manpower to do all the monitoring and stuff. Thank you. Next.
Mr. Charles Siu Chung, thank you. There is a special scheme to import care workers. It's not the case that I don't agree with importation of labor, but I have reservations. In relation to subvented homes, these carers earn about $21,000. Under the special scheme, the homes are allowed to offer $14,000 to hire imported workers. It's very difficult to prevent homes to not hire imported laborers that is $7,000 cheaper. I hope the administration will come to us to give a regular report. There are about 11,000 local positions. Has the number been reduced? Is there an abnormal pace of increase regarding their wages? The wage increase, is it slower than other trades? Next, Mr. Dick Ji-yun. Thank you. There are three things I'm concerned about. Other members have spoken about it. The first one is poverty alleviation. The government talks about targeted poverty alleviation measures, but when it comes to target groups, schedule, timetable, I don't think the information is ideal. There is now no poverty line. So how do you define poverty? If there is no definition of poverty, how do we assess the effectiveness of government measures? There are measures targeting single families, elderly people living alone, people with disabilities, and those living in subdivided units. But what about families who encounter difficulties? Say, for example, families with one parent that is not a Hong Kong resident. How do you offer them help? Well, in relation to the register to help elderly people, without supporting measures, there's no use that register. And in relation to support to families with medical needs, would there be collaboration between the social welfare sector and the healthcare sector? Would there be a reduction in welfare services expenditure? If there is a plan to cut expenditure in this regard, how do you ensure that service quality and service capacity will not be reduced? Well, I think you all understand that I need to talk to the Bureau to see if we can include all the items that you have put forward. Well, in relation to any other business, for the panel on welfare service, there will be provision of simultaneous sign language interpretation service. In relation to joint meetings between this panel and other members, as well as subcommittees, the service will be provided depending on the need. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.